Channeling. What is it and how to do it? All about channeling and guides. I am dwelling in a form which to you would appear perhaps as simply as a shimmer, as a movement within the air or time. What is channeling? Channeling is the means by which you can make a direct connection with a non-physical or discarnated being called a guide. It is a process of consciously connecting with entities who exist on other planes of reality, and those who do so are known as channels. Throughout the history of humanity, people have channeled various types of entities. I prefer to distinguish channeling from the work of mediums. Mediums work with dead people, entities that have been in existence as human beings and have now passed on. The focus for mediums is to prove the existence of life after death, but the focus for channels are less narrow. The work of mediums is, however, extremely valuable, as it is important to realize that there is an existence after death, and their work is complementary to that of channels. Channeling involves deliberate shifting your awareness to achieve an expanded state of consciousness. You have to learn to concentrate and to get your own thoughts out of the way so that you can become receptive to your higher guidance. The ancient Egyptians, for example, channeled the god energy, while in ancient Greece, the Delphic oracle was frequently consulted. Even in the Bible, Old Testament prophets channeled energies which they identified as God. Madame Blavatsky, the founder of Theosophy, channeled a series of masters, and as a result wrote Isis Unveiled, a classic work about ancient religion and their revival. Alice Bailey, inspired by her Tibetan master, set up the Arcane School. Probably one of the best known recent channels is Edgar Cayce, who would sink into a state of hypnosis in which he would provide astonishing accurate readings for his clients. Jane Roberts and her guide Seth brought through huge amounts of information in their books. Finally, Sanaya Roman is a gifted channel who has helped thousands on their path of growth and personal development. Some of Sanaya's books are listed in the biography. Some people hear clear words from their guides. Others see pictures which they describe, and still others just get a sense of what the guide is trying to convey. As you do more and more channeling, the guides help to develop this gift of connecting. Guides exist outside of space and time, and as a result, they are able to be with you at any time you wish. They do not have physical bodies, although they may well once have done on either this or another planet. However, such guides were frequently teachers even when they were physical, and since their passing over, they have continued to develop spiritually. A gateway into love. The higher realms where the guides exist are full of love. Your guide's aim is to make you more powerful, more independent, and more confident. Your guide is full of love, compassion, and understanding for you. Your guide knows that you have a high purpose, which represents the real heart of your reason for choosing to be born at this time and in these conditions or circumstances. I believe that before birth, each of us is encoded by our soul with a mission, our higher purpose for this lifetime. We consciously choose this with our soul's guidance. A clear viewpoint. When you channel, it is like climbing to the top of a mountain. You will discover more about yourself and others and see your life from a higher, broader perspective, which helps you to discover the deeper meaning of situations in which you find yourself. A means of self-help. As a channel, you can learn to do things effortlessly if you choose, but you will still struggle if you choose that. This does not mean that everything will come to you and that you can just relax and do nothing. What it does mean is that you can gain a greater sense of what you want to create and will be able to find easier ways to bring it about. Channeling won't solve all your problems. It will only change you in the way you want to change. You are the one who takes action, and you are still responsible for your own life. But working with a high-level guide does accelerate your growth, opportunities, and your learning curve. Channeling a guide will help you to see yourself and others with greater compassion and objectivity and less judgment. The purpose of channeling. When you decide to open to channeling your guide, what you are doing is bringing the guide's energy down to the physical plane which you inhabit. Guides have no physical form, but you do. You are the receiver of their energy, and you are the transformer of their energy. You transform their energy impulses into words that can be understood by other people. Or you may transform the energy into music or painting. Or you may choose to channel healing frequencies for the assistance of others. Spiritual work is about bringing the frequencies of spiritual realms into our everyday reality, grounding those frequencies so that they can be perceived by other people. Channeling is just a form of that, grounding in the energy of your guide and the things that your guide wants to share with you and through you with other people. In short, when you learn to channel, you are creating many opportunities for personal growth and development, as well as for service to humanity. Channeling will obviously result in different changes for different people, but typically, people who channel become more self-confident, happier, clear about their path and their choices, less selfish, less stressed over life problems, calmer, more loving, and psychologically more stronger. One of my students told me that she and her guide have developed a marvelous way of bringing healing for her physical body. She channels this energy into her body, and within minutes, she can begin to shake off health problems such as colds and viruses. How can you tell if you are ready to channel? Good channels are those who enjoy thinking for themselves. They are often on a path of service to others, such as healing. They are also independent, open-minded, self-confident, sensitive, and in touch with their feelings. They are people who enjoy learning and who are open to new skills, ideas, and knowledge. The qualities that guides seem to value are dedication, enthusiasm, and the willingness to be a channel. You need to have a willingness to make your life work at every level and to attract a high-level guide. It helps if you have spiritual interest, a desire to help others, and a concern for a concern for their well-being. Channeling always seems to help others in some way. A common fear amongst people who want to channel is that they will be one who can't do it. They are very concerned that they aren't ready, they aren't worthy, and so on. So how do you know that you are ready to channel? Everyone who completes the channeling courses we teach does actually channel during the class. They may not be destined to be verbal channels, but they all make a good, strong connection with their guide so that after the class they can develop the relationship to support them. I firmly believe that people are only drawn to the courses we teach when they are ready to use the material. Ultimately, only you can know if you are ready to channel. But even when you are ready, you may still feel very anxious about whether you really can do it. This anxiety is really just a reflection of the excitement you are feeling down deep at the possibility that you can be a genuine channel. Fear is merely one end of a continuum, and excitement an other. Again, fear is merely one end of a continuum, and excitement the other. Other fears about channeling. At the School of the Living Light, we have taught many people to channel, and there are living again, and there are some fears that come up frequently. One is that channeling will turn you into a space cadet, out of touch with reality. In fact, it seems to have the opposite effect. People often report that they feel more grounded, centered, and able to do real effectively, able to deal real effectively with their daily lives. Your guide can be of great assistance at a day-to-day level. Another fear is that you will be taken over, as I mentioned earlier, but channeling does not entail a surrender of control. One respondent in our recent research with channels said of her guide, Light Angel, is always close but does not intrude in my life unless I ask for help and assistance. Light Angel does not make decisions for me but helps me look at things in an even and fair way. You are likely to find that your sense of self greatly enhanced, as if contact with the other creates a greater awareness of your own identity. You may find that it becomes easier to set limits and to define your personal boundaries. Yet another fear is that you will become vulnerable to lower entities. Actually, you can recognize these lower entities by their negativity. Once you have a good connection with a high-level guide, this guide will protect you whether or not you are channeling. What are guides? I have already mentioned guides in various contexts, but a clear explanation will be helpful at this stage. In brief, guides are beings who have chosen to work with us at this time to enable us to access high-level information to assist in our growth. Guides connect with us at a high level called the soul level. The information they bring is then transmitted into our physical brain as pulses of energy. Encouragement rather than control. High-level guides encourage you to rely on your inner guidance, even over their guidance. They never try to take over or to control you. In fact, the situation is quite the opposite. Guides encourage you to grow and support you in what you choose to do. Ortan always reminds me that it is a law of the universe that you have to ask. What he means by this is that you have to choose to ask for help in whatever it is you are doing. Guides have far too much respect for us to intervene without being asked. They see that we must learn the lessons that our soul choose for us in this lifetime. If you went to do or want to do this alone, so be it. But you do not have to do it alone ever again when you have chosen to channel your guide. All you need to do is ask for help. The guides will do all they can from their side to offer the highest lessons and the highest experience you can have. Connecting with your guide. Often guides begin to connect with you in your dreams. A very common experience is waking in the middle of the night and not knowing why. Ortan explains that the veils between the realms are very thin at night, especially between about 3 and 4 in the morning. So this is the time when people have vivid dreams of guides or are awakened by their guides trying to contact them. When you find that you are becoming interested in channeling, going for readings, attending talks on channeling, meeting channels, or reading books on the subject. You may be very interested in your spiritual path and keen to know more about your work and higher purpose in this lifetime. You may feel you are looking for something but are unsure of what it will be, or you may feel ready to have a more open connection to the higher realms. If you do ask for a guide to assist you, one will begin to work with you in your meditations. As for a guide to begin again in your meditations, ask for a guide to begin working with you. Sometimes during meditation, you get guidance that seems to be of a higher wisdom than your own. As your connection with your guide strengthens and deepens, you may think more often about channeling a guide. And although you may have doubts and questions about channeling, you will feel that you want to know more. Different types of guides. Although people talk of guides in general, there are different types, and each has a different purpose. The guides align with the purpose of the person who is doing the channeling. In this chapter, I would like to share with you material that my guide Ortan has asked be included, specifically about myself as a channel, the type of guides, and the names of guides. This book was written because Ortan started to bring through information about a book on channeling. On August the 10th, 1995, he suggested that the book could discuss the guides, their nature, the type of guides, the type of people perhaps who connect into channel, and what happens afterwards, of course. This is of interest, and also to tell people how these guides, we guides, will assist them in the changes to come, to tell them that there is nothing to fear in these changes. Ortan also envisaged the book being accompanied by meditation tapes. We have since made these with his assistance and information on how to obtain them. Ortan wants humanity to understand that there are major changes going on at this time, changes that are resulting in a huge surge of interest in channeling, in meditation, in spiritual development generally. Ortan is very keen for us to know that there is nothing to fear, that although the changes may be great, we will be safe and protected. The key to an easy transition in this time is to dedicate yourself to realizing your own potential as a spiritual being who has chosen to take a human body at this time. It is of fundamental importance that all of us who are now awakening focus on understanding ourselves as spiritual beings, and that we start to open more and more to higher guidance and higher wisdom through channeling. Guides to help our awakening. Many souls are now awakening and remembering. These souls need help to reach the path of light and initiation, and this is where the guides and channels come in. They are here to help us in the very important process of transformation into beings who know what they are and why they are here. I believe that this awakening process is cumulative. As more and more people awaken to higher realities, they make it easier for others to follow. My own experience with guides have been that they are always available, very loving, and often have a deep sense of compassion and service to humanity. Some have had earth lives and others have not. In a sense, this is of no importance. Those who did have earth lives have long since evolved beyond the need to keep reincarnating. Guides can be experienced, as I have mentioned, in a whole range of ways. Some people see their guides. They have a strong visual sense of the guide as a being Often these seem to be the guides who did incarnate, and the form that is perceived by the channel is a reflection of that last incarnation. For example, there seems to be a considerable number of Native American guides working with humanity at present. I have channeled for people with such guides and had very strong visual impressions of their energy and that of their animals. Many of them work directly with animal energies. In the Native American tradition, many teachers work directly with animal spirits. Indeed, sometimes the initiates seem actually to become the animal. Other guides are just felt as they join their channel. It may be a sensation as subtle as a deepening of their breathing, a gentle tingling around the top of the head, a shift in posture, or an emotional response like intense happiness or deep love. My own guides explains. I have 2 guides working with me at present. Ortan, who has worked with me since the death of my great friend and spiritual teacher, and Shalaya, who joined me later in 1994. Both have given me information about themselves which may help you to understand how guides themselves view guides. Ortan explains that he has no physical form at all and cannot be seen or heard with the normal sensing mechanisms of ears or eyes. I am dwelling in a form which you would appear perhaps as simply a shimmer, as a movement within the air. He goes on to explain that in his dimension, which he describes as a place of light, all are in service to the divine. The beings there have some sort of a community, working together and communicating with each other. They are all connected energetically to make one consciousness. Many of these beings have evolved from incarnations on the earth and other planets. In this dimension, some of the entities have pledged to assist humanity in awakening to their spiritual potential and in starting on a path of growth. He stresses that in his dimension, there is a constant awareness of love, of light, and of service. He further explains that in this dimension, simply thinking of something creates it immediately. From the perspective of guides, all entities, including us humans, are kept. Again, from the perspective of guides, all entities, including us humans, are part of the oneness. Ortan sees us as divine sparks of energy, each with a unique role to play in the evolution of the universe. He reminds us that we all come from the divine source, and in some time we will all return to it. Furthermore, the main experience of the divine is love and light, the vibrations that are always present in the guide's dimensions of reality. Ortan explains that you could visualize reaching the guide's dimension as going through many layers or planes, each of which is energetically different. This is just like the experience of death, where souls pass first to the astral plane and then onwards and upwards. At death, of course, we are assisted by some of the souls already on the other side. They help to lift us to the level that is appropriate for us. When I began to channel Ortan, I first feel a sense of his love. And then as he moves in to share energy with me, there is a light shift in my body, as if I have just rocked very slightly forward. Once we have merged, I feel tremendously expanded, loving, patient, and tranquil. As I channel, I just move out of the way and let Ortan do the talking. I don't hear him. I just find that I can start talking and he is doing the talking. I don't need to think about it or monitor it at all. It is as if I am in a state of meditation. Although I can hear what is going on if I choose to, I rarely take that option. Shalaya's energy is completely different from that of Ortan. I can only describe it as a feeling larger than Ortan's and more intense. His voice is a little deeper than Ortan, and he tends to talk a little more slowly. When I channel Shalaya, I feel the love and expansion just as I do with Ortan. But Ortan has a sense of humor and fun that is not really present in my experience of Shalaya, who feels much more focused. People who are present with Shalaya is channeled report again. People who are present when Shalaya is channeled report that there is a very different sensation for them too. They say Ortan is more grounded, more interested in mundane earthly matters than Shalaya. Shalaya's energy is quite difficult to hold, as he seems more alien than Ortan in a sense. Unlike Ortan, Shalaya has no interest in subjects such as physical health. He doesn't work with me for channeling readings as Ortan does, but only joins me when I am teaching advanced students. He describes himself as a focus of vibration. He says he is a being of light and vibration, with no form and no physical existence. From Shalaya's perspective, the world of matter is a tricky place. He has great sympathy with us and the suffering that we experience in the human form. He explains that he is not bounded by space, time, matter, or other aspects of a physical environment. In fact, he has told me that he does not have independent existence in the way that we have. Although he is an unidentifiable energy, his type of beings just project their consciousness out across time and space in order to communicate with us. When asked about his name, Shalaya just said that this is of no importance. The word Shalaya represents his frequency, but he is neither male nor female. But I always refer to Shalaya as he, since it somehow doesn't feel right in our language. Personal guides. Everyone has a personal guide. This is why everyone who wants to be able to channel these personal guides are here specifically to assist you in fulfilling your higher purpose. In this lifetime, your personal guide will be interested in the things that you are interested in and will be able to advise you on your personal life, your career, your relationships, your health, whatever you want to ask about. These personal guides work to help you throughout your life, focusing on you as an individual. In my work with Ortan, I have been constantly amazed by how easy it is for people to channel. It is as if these personal guides are just one step away from our waking consciousness, ready and willing to work with us. Transition guides. Ortan describes himself as a transition guide. These are guides whose primary focus is on our growth and our ascension into ever higher levels of spiritual awareness. Ortan says that some apparent guides are not true guides, but our higher selves. He goes on to explain that we can channel our higher selves, or guides, or both if we choose. At the beginning of your growth, channeling the higher self is a very useful thing. I did this myself in my early years of channeling. Once you are channeling, you can ask, are you a guide or are you my higher self? It will be helpful at this point to distinguish between the higher self, the soul, and the monad. You can see them as parts of yourself that exist at different levels. Personality self, higher self, soul, monad, soul's soul. Ortan defines transition as ascending and transcending the bounds of present reality and transmuting it into a different kind of reality. He has also made it clear that the process of ascension is currently taking place for all humanity and for our planet. This is discussed in Chapter 2. Healing guides. Many healers are drawn to learn to channel. When working with them in classes, it often becomes clear that they have been channeling their guide or guides for a long time, but they were not conscious channels. They didn't realize where the energy was coming from or how to access it at will. There are many healing guides now, and there will be a great need for healing as we take more and more responsibility for our own health at all levels, physical, mental, and emotional. Healing guides are often not verbal guides. They work with color and energy, with frequencies and vibrations, and don't normally need to use words with those who are working with them. The partnership or relationship between a healing guide and a healer is more of an intuitive thing. This is why healers often have more than one guide. Healing guides can channel through particular rays or particular frequencies for particular things. They work on different frequencies and combined will produce a different effect. Ortan says that all healing comes from the divine level, the all that is. We therefore don't heal people, but are just the channels for healing energy. Learning to channel is one way to become a more effective healer, and this will be discussed in more detail in Chapter 8. If you are a healer, channeling on the current state of energy of your clients is extremely useful, both to them and to you. Many homeopaths, spiritual healers, osteopaths, and other alternative healers have found their guides, assistant, invaluable in their practice. One acupuncturist has found that her guide will help her word her suggestions in such a way that their impact is greatly enhanced. As a result, it is much more likely that her clients will follow her advice. Healing guides are often angels, and they are one of the easiest types of guides to contact. The angels of love and healing work through healers, and those healers who are conscious channels can easily have a direct experience of loving assistance of these beings in their work. In short, healers who also channel experience a richness of confidence in their work that develops and deepens as they continue. Creative guides. There is a whole level of guides who are to do with creating things. They create music, art, environments, and much more. Many people channel these creative guides or master builders, whatever you wish to call them. People who work in the arts or other creative forces or other creative fields will fall into a reverie. This is when they connect with their creative guides. Much of the work which we consider inspirational comes from guides such as this, who are on a very pure frequency. Their channel has chosen to incarnate and to hold this pure frequency in this particular lifetime. Clearly, the artistic and creative guides are completely aligned with the higher purpose of the channel. From my own observation and with Ortan's guidance, I have come to believe that the most creative among us are also natural channels. There are many stories about composers who hear fully formed the music they go on to write. There are also stories of information coming to both artists and scientists through dreams. Perhaps the best known concerns the discovery of the structure of DNA, the substance which transmits genetic information from one generation to the next. In a dream, one of its discoverers, Crick, saw the distinctive double helix shape of its molecule. He was subsequently able, in a waking state, to use this inspirational dream to move his scientific work forward. Angels. Each angel vibrates only to its particular frequency. As an analogy, one could imagine them holding on to slivers of light, which have the frequency of joy, healing, love, abundance, and so on. In any channeling class of around 25 people, at least one or two will be channeling angels. Angels are usually channeled by people as a preparatory stage to open their hearts and to bring some joy and lightness into their lives. For they work from the heart as all guides do. Often their very lightness is enough to open the person's energy enough to be able to hold a guide. Some people are unable to hold a guide energy at the beginning. The angels are also extremely interested about what is happening on the earth plane. Angels are completely aligned to service. Channeling for this book on August the 10th, 1995, Ortan said, "It is service they seek out as a bloodhound seeks out its quarry." As explained earlier, angels often choose to channel through people who are healers or who need healing. They often come in for a short time to prepare the channel's energy for the next guide, especially if the person channeling has not had much experience with meditation and energy work. Because angels hold a pure frequency, they are very useful for those who need more discipline or who are looking for their higher purpose or trying to find their higher path of growth. An angel called Samuel, channeled by a friend Jenny, assisted me in writing this book. His channeling was accompanied by a deep feeling of love and of a form of purity and innocence that was truly beautiful to experience. Often angels will connect with us without our realizing what is happening. We will simply experience feelings of great joy, of opening, of hope, or of love. These are the sorts of emotions that characterize angelic contact as we learn to quieten our minds so we can open more and more to the whispers of these wonderful beings. Guides' names. People are always interested in the names of guides. They ask in classes and in readings to people often inquire of Ortan what the name of their guide is. Ortan always says that the name of a guide is of no importance. You can perceive the name as being like a call signal on CB radio, a way of tuning into the unique energy signature of your guide. When my guide Shalaya was asked why he introduced himself by that name, he said, "We are all one being, and I, as Shalaya, simply reflects a particular energy frequency, and so I identified this frequency as Shalaya, for this frequency best reflects our energy." Sometimes, even after successfully channeling their guides, people have no clear idea of the guide's name, but this really doesn't matter. It is often the connection that is important. Some people in our classes get no name at all, but have no difficulty in channeling. So, if you find that you cannot get a name when you begin to channel, don't worry, but just enjoy the connection. Below is no particular order. Are some guide names taken from classes over the years. The names of guides don't seem to correlate much with what they are here to do or with how they are going to help you. You will notice that lots of these names are unusual, even weird, but many people channel guides with perfectly ordinary names like John, Samuel, or Sarah. There are groups of guides and groups of angels, and they often give the same name. The Michaels are an example. Many people channel a guide called Michael, and it is my belief that these are a group of high-level beings who just use one name. There are also other beings you can channel, among them the ascended masters, such as Sananda, the ascended Christ. When people first make the connection with their guides in our classes, they often think they are channeling Ortan. He explained this to me as follows. Ortan is a teacher, and he facilitates the connection between the channel and their guide until it is stabilized. Because he is holding the energy for this connection, the channel tunes into his energy and thinks she is going to channel Ortan. Once the connection to their own guide is stabilized, they realize they are not. Ortan and I have agreed that he will not be channeled by anyone else during my lifetime. If you are using this book to make the connection with your guide, you too may think that you are making a connection with Ortan, or you are, but only in the sense that he is out there in the higher realms, ready and willing to assist you in making the connection with your own guide. All you need to do is ask him to do this in meditation, and the connection will begin to be built. It is not chance that you have been drawn to this book. Ortan has put out the call on the inner planes of reality to all those who can benefit from a connection with him, and you have answered that call. Working with energy. Learn to love that critical judgmental part of the mind and show it other ways to be. Ortan. The nature of the universe at an energy level. When you connect with your guide, you are connecting with a being whose existence does not depend on physicality. Guides often talk about energy and energy work. Ortan discusses our physical universe in terms of energy as well and stresses the importance of the concept of frequency and vibration. Frequency and vibration. Ortan believes that the only distinction between us and the guides is the rate at which we are vibrating. In his experience, frequency is the only thing that is different. He says that our universe is made up of energy, and this energy varies across the dimensions. The energy vibrates at different frequencies, so by channeling frequencies, you change the physical matter in due course. As above, so below. However, whilst energy work may take only a moment, it can take a while for the effect to come all the way down through the levels and actually cause a change at the physical level of experience. We are only equipped to sense certain frequencies, limited as we are by the sensory apparatus of the body. However, through work like spiritual development, channeling, and meditation, we can start to develop the ability to sense much more subtle energetic differences. Ortan says that we are starting to be able to perceive other subtler dimensions, as indeed we do when we work with guides. It is because everything is vibrating at a particular frequency that energy work can take place. For example, when you are channeling healing energy, you are bringing through a certain frequency of energy that sets up a resonance. The client then vibrates at that frequency, a frequency that assists them in creating good health. Music, sound, and color therapies work on similar principles. You set up a resonance, and then the body can change its own vibratory rate to match the healing vibration. Earth, sun, and moon. From the guide's perspective, the earth itself has a particular vibratory rate, which Ortan describes as its song. As does the sun. Ortan argues that the sun is a signal of the presence of humans and intelligence, and reminds us of the importance of solar energy to all life forms. It is solar energy that guides use when they move from their frequency to ours, and it is the sun that draws attention to us from other entities and life forms far out in space. Ortan describes the solar vibration as one of light and growth, whereas the frequency of the earth is more that of love. The moon also has its own song, one that is finer and subtler. One of the closest ways in which humans can appreciate this sense of vibration is through instrumental music, song, and chanting. Through sound, we can actually change our consciousness, planes, and dimensions. Ortan, channeling in 1995, said, "There are different planes wherein dwell different levels of being. Although it is wrong to assume that everything is ordered and hierarchical, guides seem to be quite amused at our constant search for hierarchies and order." And after a while, Ortan told me something of how the planes and dimensions are put together. First of all, there is the earth plane where we live. Then there is the astral plane, much of which is created from the earth plane level. Ortan has warned me frequently that it is extremely important to work with the mental body, the thoughts, because our thoughts at the astral level can create astral energies, other dimensions, other entities. In our universe, we human beings live in the third dimension, which is bounded by space and time. We are physical beings, and our experience of physicality is paramount in our perception of reality at any one time. Our experience is strongly affected by our physical senses, what we feel, see, touch, taste, and smell. However, there are also other dimensions which contain other beings or entities. The presence of these entities has been documented throughout the centuries in religious and mystical writings. Many mediums and psychics work with what is known as the astral plane, which is close to our own reality but not physical. There are further planes that continue in ever finer frequencies. Ortan has said that he lives in a dimension of light, awakening to the 7 dimensions. I believe that we are all souls in physical bodies who have chosen to manifest on the earth plane at this time, but many of us have forgotten who and what we really are. In God's terms, I have mentioned we are asleep. In the Complete Ascension Manual, Joshua Stone explains this process very clearly, talking about the 7 dimensions that we are working through in the following order in our time on the earth plane. 1. The physical plane. 2. The astral plane. 3. The mental plane. 4. The buddhic plane. 5. The atomic plane. 6. The monadic plane. 7. The logoic plane. We can stay asleep for many lifetimes and then eventually begin to awaken. At this point, we become spiritual aspirants, starting to develop mastery on the physical plane. This is the first level. Then we begin to gain mastery over our emotions and desires. This represents the second initiation, the astral plane, mastery of the mental body, and therefore over the whole personality, physical, emotional, and mental, represents the third initiation. Now the initiate can build the casual or soul body and gain liberation from the endless cycle of birth and death and rebirth. At the next level, the soul body burns up and the soul is absorbed back into the monad, the soul's soul, and the monad becomes the guiding principle. At this point, the person is a Lord of compassion, sometimes known as Arhat. This is the 4th initiation. At the 5th initiation, there is a merging with the monad, and at the 6th, all bodies are transformed into light as the monad descends completely and merges with the physical level. This leads to the process which Stone calls ascension. Again, This leads to the process which Joshua Stone calls ascension. Now the initiate has the choice of staying on the physical plane to continue his or her path of service to humanity, or reuniting to the spiritual world. At the seventh initiation, the initiate merges with the will of the planetary logos, the spiritual lord, or the world, and highest being in our planetary system, also known as Sanat Kumara. This is the highest level of initiation possible on the earth plane. This movement through the planes, as described by Stone, is carried out through meditation and spiritual practices. Guides exist at high levels of evolution, at least the fourth dimension and above. But remember that this is just one way of making sense of dimensions. Many guides do not consider such delineations either important or useful, but I believe some delineations help us to make sense of how we move on a path of growth. Thought creates reality. We create our own reality. Ortan explains that if each of us tries to keep our thought and our emotions positive, together we can create a different and truly magical reality. What we focus on is what we increase. So it is extremely important to keep a positive focus, a focus on the how and the good. By doing this, we help to counteract negative thought forms. This understanding means that we can create an ever more beautiful reality in our lives on the earth plane. Ortan points out that there is an intersection between the thought forms that we create at the astral level and the creation of our lives on the earth plane. The thought forms that are created on the astral plane last a long time before they dissolve. When we are channeling, then we need to go up through the astral plane, keeping our thoughts clear and positive, for by the law of attraction we draw to us that which vibrates at a similar frequency, and this is especially true at the lower levels of vibration. The guides are found in a much higher dimension or frequency, to put it another way, than the astral plane. No time, no polarities. Where the guides are, there is no concept of time. Although we talk about going up through the dimensions, Ortan stresses that this too is an incorrect description. Actually, everything is woven together. Realizing that time is just something that exists at our level of reality creates some interesting possibilities. As Ortan remarks, it means that we can access the future just as easily as we can access the past. In fact, at higher levels, no differentiation is made. Just as there is no time, so there is no polarity. In the higher realms, all the differentiations we so love to make, black, white, male, female, high, low, just don't seem to exist for guides. Our perception of guides' energies. Ortan is often asked about what he is doing, where he is, and what he is, again, and what he and other guides look like. He understands that this is of great interest to us. Once he took me to see where he dwelt. To me, it looked like a vast white cavern filled with blinding white light, which was strongly moving or strangely moving. When he is asked if we will eventually inhabit the dimension he lives in, he says that when we die, we do rise up through the planes, and we certainly do have the potential to become inhabitants of these wonderful levels of reality, so filled with the light of love and service. As to what Ortan looks like, to me, he is just a brilliant white light, whilst Shalaya looks rather like a collection of sturdy points of light. One friend told me that her guide appears to me as wispy forms of light coming together to create the most delicate flowing material you can imagine. Another said that running with water is male and looks like a very strong Indian chief, and a third that she is slender with milk white skin and long black hair. I can identify features. She is light. What Ortan does stress about This is that we are bounded by our limited sensory perception, and we only perceive a very small part of the guide's energy. Discipline and integrity. When discussing thoughts, Ortan emphasizes the concepts of discipline and integrity. Discipline here means control as you create your own reality. It is important that you are careful about what you create. This links in with integrity. When Ortan talks about integrity, he is talking about acting in such a way that you bring no harm to others. Discipline is something that we need to develop. For example, the discipline to meditate regularly, to be careful about our thoughts and actions so that we are mindfully trying to all the time not to hurt others, but to aid them. For it is through our thoughts and actions that we create our own karma, the accumulation of debts and credits in each lifetime. Through the discipline of meditation, we can come to move easily into a harmonized space where we can be in direct contact with higher aspects of ourselves. Once we can maintain that contact, it is easy to live with integrity from a higher place of awareness. Ortan is very clear that meditation is all important in the development of both discipline and integrity. For the space created by meditation, we can reflect on our actions and learn to control our thoughts. Ortan repeatedly stresses the importance of the development of the concept of cooperation, caring, and nurturing so that we can create a world filled with goodwill for all. He also often discusses the importance of letting go of judgments of others and accepting them for who they are with unconditional love.